The Pod Squad.
The Pod Squad.
The Pod Squad.
The Pod Squad. It's the Pod Squad. The Pod Squad.
Awesome. All right, so I guess we're back. This is episode 2, number dos.
Nice.
We are.
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome. Even though we haven't shot the intro, I think we should play the music if it's queued up.
It will play. We'll get the intro in there.
Sure.
We're referring to our awesome intro written by Mr. Lama there.
Yes. I like it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Very cool. Very 70s.
Yes.
Very much our childhood.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So today we have a topic, again, another difficult one. Our top 5 all-time favorite bands. I guess favorite or best, or I don't know, whatever we decided.
Personal favorites.
Personal favorites, yeah.
Yeah.
So we had a hard time trying to decide like how to categorize what a band, what was considered a band, and what would be okay on this list. So we said it had to contain at least 2 people. It had to have at least 2 instruments being played by at least 2 of the people in the band.
Yeah.
And then from there was
no drum tracks allowed.
from there was just whatever, right?
I think so.
Pretty
Yeah.
much. Sounds about right.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
All right.
It looks
then.
like we're ready to rock. So, anybody want to venture and go first? I think. Well, we were going to just give out our list rather than stop and explain a lot of stuff because our first episode was extremely long. Nice close up there, Mike.
Yeah,
And
wants to frame it up, get all that junk out of the corner. But
you're good. No, that's fine. So to kind of, just in the interest of time, we're going to try to shoot out our list real quick and then kind of go back and follow up on maybe a couple of those decisions, why we chose what we chose or whatever. So anybody want to go first?
sure, I'll go first.
Go for it.
All right. Mind you, these are all-time favorites. They're in no particular order.
No order. Okay.
Okay. And I have a top 5, and just because I had to mention them, I have an honorable mention. Hope that's not cheating, but I'll start with the top 5.
Okay.
He's cheating.
He's cheating. Oh, well, how about we save the honorable mention for at the end? Okay. Give us your top 5, and then we'll go back and discuss your honorable mention afterwards.
Okay.
Okay.
Like I said, no particular order.
Okay.
All right. The Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones because they have stood the test of time. They've come with so much good music, generation after generation, and not to mention, you know, they went through the little disco era. They even have a couple of tunes that sounds a little country, you know, not to mention the rock and, you know, the 60s rock through the 90s rock and what have you. So Rolling Stone. Of course, everybody's all about Queen, a whole new generation when the movie came out. But I was listening to Queen back before a lot of people were born. Freddie Mercury, I mean, he's just unmatched in his musical genius. And we're not going to go too much, so if I start.
We'll have plenty on the top.
Van Halen. Love Van Halen. 1, 2, 3. And then once you got the Diver down, I believe their fourth album, then you could tell they were having problems in the group with David. So kind of when it started to show in their music. So after they changed to Van Hagar, that's a different. That to me, that was a whole different band. Van Halen, the original lineup. And let's see, Rolling Stones, Queen, Van Halen. Personal favorite. A lot of people don't know. And this is to enlighten people that aren't from San Antonio, a new generation. Who've never heard of them. They never got the recognition they deserved. People here know about them because of a local DJ called the Godfather of Rock and Roll, Joe Anthony, K-Mac Kiss, back in the old days, spun their records. But, you know, this group just, to me, it just takes me back to fond memories growing up, teenage years. And the band is Budgie. If you don't know who they are, and some of their music has to grow on you. My advice to anybody that's never listened to them, just go for the best of Budgie or their greatest hits. And then go from there. More like you'll get hooked with that, and then you can delve more into some of their more obscure music. But to a lot of people, it's all obscure music because they're not.
It's good stuff, though.
And then this guy right here, I say guy, but he had a band, a whole band.
You had me worried for a second there.
Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Yes, sir.
Like I said, no particular order, but I saw Tom Petty live in concert. He was in Austin back in the 90s. I don't think I was working the show. I think because I remember sitting through the whole show. If I was working, more likely I wasn't able to catch the whole show. I was blown away. This guy and his group, and I used to tell people all the time, now you can't, he's gone, but I used to tell people all the time, you ever get the chance to see Tom Petty live in concert, I don't care if you have to drive to another state or catch a plane or what have you. If you get the opportunity to go see Tom Petty live in concert. I had a conversation with a guy that I knew. He lived in a different state, 5 states away. Him and I had a conversation about Tom Petty, and he had the exact same sentiment. And this guy was a musician, a guitar player. He told me the best concert I ever went to in my whole life was a Tom Petty concert. A lot of people might say, well, maybe it's up there with, you know, the Stones or whatever, but he just put on a phenomenal show. So those are my top 5 in no particular order. Van Halen, Rolling Stones, Queen, Tom Petty, and Budgie. I had to throw Budgie in there.
Awesome.
I'm honorable mention that you don't let me talk about. We'll come back to it. That's it.
All right, who's next?
I'll go next. Okay, and again, in no particular order, although you can probably tell who my number 1 is going to be. In no particular order, my favorite, all-time favorite is Stevie Ray Vaughn, Texas Man. I'm gonna save my commentary for later because I saw him play live many times, but he's awesome. Tool. I love Tool. Tool's they've been around a while. A lot of people don't know about them because they spent 13 years between albums, but they just put out an album called Fear Inoculum, and they were on tour and they had to cut it short because of the COVID. But luckily, I got a chance to see them before they canceled it, and it was an awesome show. Tool is badass. Okay. Next one would be Ozzy Osbourne. How can you not have Ozzy? He's legend. He's been around forever. He's getting up there in age now, but I've seen him a couple of times, and he always puts on a great show. Really good at picking guitar players. The guy always has a great guitar player playing with him. AC/DC is another great band I love. Love Angus Young. Those guys are awesome. They're great energy. And one of the reasons I kind of lean towards the rock stuff is because of the energy. I just love the energy. It's therapy to me, you know, because when you're at the end of the day, when you're stressed out, you just go over there and just, that's what kind of music that is. It just lets me release all my tensions. Okay. And then the last one is not rock. And I did this on purpose because not only are they the first band I ever saw live, but they're highly, highly, highly influential in the rap world. And this would be the Parliament Funkadelic. The first album somebody ever gave me was the Parliament P-Funk Earth Tour. Okay. And I still have it. It's an awesome album. I was a big fan of George Clinton. And again, I'll save my comments for later, but those are my top 5 right there.
All right. Jose, you want to go next?
Sure. So most of mine are going to be kind of like Mike and Victor's. Going to be mostly rock, heavy metal. It's mostly heavy metal stuff because that's what I'm really into. And even though it's not as trendy anymore as it used to be, I still like it a lot. Still love it. Still listen to it. So my first group that I have is Black Sabbath. They're the godfathers of heavy metal, or there's a debate about that, but a lot of people say that they're the godfathers of heavy metal. They coined the phrase heavy metal, and I'm talking about when Ozzy was with them, because they had other singers later on, but when Ozzy was with them, those are some of the best albums that they had. Another band is AC/DC, which Victor just mentioned just a while ago. You can't go wrong with those guys. Almost everybody's heard an AC/DC song. You can ask anybody, even today, even young kids, and they know who AC/DC is. So these guys have stood the test of time, and you always know what they expect from the guys. Good hard rock. Metallica, okay, one of my most favorite bands of all time. Just saw them recently, not that long ago, at the Alamo Dome. Practically sold the whole place out. And so for being around for a long time and still selling out a place like the Alamo Dome, that tells you a lot about Metallica and how popular they still are even today. And they were the first band that I ever saw live. First band I ever saw live. I was in high school, sophomore year. Saw them back then. Another band that I like a lot is a Texas band, heavy metal band that some of you guys might not be familiar with, called Pantera. And when I first heard of them, I mean, it just blew my socks off. Like literally, they flew off my feet, you know. And these guys are from Texas. They're from Dallas. But unfortunately, 2 of the band members are dead now. The guitarist, if you guys didn't know, he was gunned down at a performance, and the other one died a few years ago from heart failure. He was the drummer. And they're both brothers. They're brothers, and they were like the core of the band. So it's kind of sad because I'll never get to see them again. But I saw them 9 times in the time that they were out touring. So that tells you how much I love Pantera. And there's a few other bands that I was kind of debating and putting in the top 5, but I decided to throw in a wild card just to kind of spice it up a little bit and throw something else in the mix. And I think they fit the criteria. And it's a band called ABBA.
Yeah.
Of ABBA, you know, Dancing Queen and all that. 2 guys in the band. They play instruments. Every instrument you can imagine. They wrote the songs. You got 2 pretty girls up in the front singing in harmony. And these guys, anything you put on of ABBA's is I'm willing to put up against any pop stuff that's going on today, and it's probably better. So I'm willing to fight anybody who says ABBA sucks.
Awesome.
I'd wear an ABBA shirt.
Me too.
Susan, you want to go, or do you want me to go first?
I can go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel so young in this group. Just kidding.
You are much younger than the rest of us.
But actually, one of the groups I often liked, and that's because of my brother, is Rush.
Mhm.
I wish I seen them, wish they were still around, fortunately. But with the passing away of the drummer, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the best ones.
Cute.
I so Rush is one. You're gonna find this one funny. Journey. I like Journey.
Not funny at all.
Yeah, they're good.
Journey had a lot of songs. And of course, even then, I still want to see them, but I'm not that kind of person. And the original's not there anymore
No, yeah.
as well. The Police. I grew up with the Police.
Yeah.
So they were a fun group to grow up with.
Mhm.
As 80s girls. Duran Duran.
Ooh.
Come on. Hey,
You're an 80s MTV girl.
Yeah.
when it was music, yeah, all the way.
Yeah, before they started reality shows.
How many have I said already?
4. You need one more.
Darn. Well, I like some of the ones that you guys said, but I also grew up with this one, and I know it's a love and hate relationship with a lot of people. You too.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, U2's awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just love the music. When they gave that free album, it's all right. I don't know why everyone got upset, about it, but
I don't know. I didn't think it was their best, but
well, no, I mean, but still,
yeah.
you could just, if you didn't like it, you could delete it. That's all you had to do, Okay, next.
All right. Best for last. Woo. No.
Never heard of them.
Oh my God. It's always so hard for me to make stupid favorite lists. But this is one list where I can tell you I do have a number one favorite. All the rest that are on my list doesn't matter the order, but I'll give you my other my other ones, even though I have ties on some of them. I'm just gonna name like 2 out of my ties. So I have the Beach Boys.
Ooh, nice.
Mm.
Jose, you and I, ABBA.
Woo.
I had ABBA on there. Okay, and these, because I tend to go for like, I guess I went for music, bands that kind of influenced like what I like to listen to, and I'm really eclectic, like in pretty much everything. So Beach Boys, ABBA's, and I'm gonna go with Los Panchos.
Ooh.
Mexican, yeah,
The
trio.
trio.
Yeah. And they were tied with someone else, but we can talk about that later. Number whatever 2, I guess. Well, no order. Was also a tie with someone else, and I don't know. I'll just spit this one out. Kool and the Gang. And then number 1, for sure, is going to be the Beatles.
Yes.
It's always going to be the Beatles. They're number 1. So those are my bands. I wanted to put other stuff in there. I just can't. Like I said, I like pick and choose. I'm real eclectic, style wise, and if 5 wasn't enough for me to throw in a big band and a country band and whatever, it's like I like to listen to all kinds of stuff. So those are my 5.
I like him.
Yep.
Some good lists here. Stuff to talk about.
So yeah, let's get down to some questions. First of all, I have a question for Jose. Jose, You said literally
Yes, ma'am.
your socks flew off your feet. You don't actually mean it
Okay, not literally, but
literally.
it's trying to get people that are listening, like a visual.
Being dramatic.
So, okay, so no, I do have a question. Why do you think, what is it about San Antonio? Because I see that it's a thing here in San Antonio. Why is metal so big here? Why? When we have so many other cultures and influences, why does everybody seem to like metal so much here? I'm just wondering.
I think it's mainly because of a guy named Joe Anthony. What do you think, Mike?
I would attribute it to Joe Anthony. The
Me too.
whole 70s vibe thing. Everybody was listening more to rock before the wave of rap came in, and in the late 80s, mid 80s, early 90s. It was all about rock everywhere you went.
Mhm.
And Joe Anthony was instrumental, and just so many bands give him credit.
Mhm.
I don't care if it was AC/DC, Triumph, Rush, Scorpions.
Judas
A lot
Priest.
of those bands,
Mhm.
a lot of those bands wouldn't be where they are today if it was not for Joe Anthony. Can't remember which one actually put it in their liner notes on an album, but they literally said, little old radio station in Texas used to play our records, and there were nobodies back in their home country or wherever they're from, but they'd come tour Texas 5 times a year, and they were rock gods, and that's how they got their fan base and their foothold. Before long, their popularity spread throughout the country. But to get back to your question, Belinda, that was just the whole vibe through the city growing up. I remember in the 70s, people just loved their rock music, and we rivaled Detroit, Rock City, for that title.
Mhm.
Detroit tried to say they were the rock and roll capital of the world, but honestly, I think San Antonio was.
I think the kids in San Antonio just wanted something besides country music and Tejano and stuff like that. And as to those, there may be a few people who watch this that don't know who Joe Anthony is. He's a DJ at a radio station called KMAC Kiss. And as a matter of fact, I want to bring it. I'm glad we brought it up because today is the anniversary of his death. He died at 52 years old, way too young. But he was a DJ who just said, I'm not gonna go with what the demographics are telling me. I'm gonna play what I want to play. And he liked heavy metal music. He liked rock and roll, and he played that. And he introduced a lot of bands that a lot of people had never heard of at the time, like Rush. They're a Canadian band. He heard them, he liked them, he put them on the radio. People down here really dug their music, and they were able to come all the way down to Texas and tour to big crowds because of him. He promoted them. And KK Downing, one of the guitar players for Judas Priest, he's not in the band anymore, but he wrote a book, and in the book, on a couple of occasions, he refers to San Antonio and Joe Anthony as being like, we're driving down the street and we're in Texas and we're hearing this guy playing our music, and like, wow, who is this guy? Joe Anthony exposed San Antonio to a lot of heavy metal, rock and roll music, and so he gets a lot of credit for making San Antonio that way.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons San Antonio was like it used to be, because it's not so much anymore like a hard rock, heavy metal city, is because it's a blue collar city. Mm-hmm. And usually like in the cities where it's kind of rough, like in the cities like Detroit, life is kind of rough, and you connect to that music because it's like a real kind of down to earth, rough kind of feeling you get from the music, and so you connect to it. And I think that's why a lot of people here connected to it back then. And I think Joe Anthony knew that, and he just kind of kept exposing more of these bands to people.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the gritty urban music from back then. Do you think that urban music now, hip hop and rap is taking over that scene?
Yeah, I think that's why it connects to the young people today, the young people that are today.
interesting.
And I think San Antonio has now grown a lot since the 1960s and 70s when Joe Anthony was around. So San Antonio has become more cosmopolitan city. So I think there's room for the metalheads and the hip hop people and the country people, which is cool. You know, I like diversity. So you can go on any given night, go to a country bar or you know, a hip hop place or a heavy metal bar, and just hear whatever you want to feel like you want to listen to, and you can hear it live. And that I think that was limited back in the day, and now it's more, you know, diverse. So yeah, I think that, I don't know if it's taking over. I think I go to clubs all the time, and I still see a lot of young people there and a lot of bands that are with young guys that are metalheads and playing whatever they want to, you know, and that's great.
I'll attest to that. As a young man, if you would have asked me what kind of music I listened to, without a doubt, I would have told you rock and roll. That's it. That's all but if you ask me the same question now, it's not so much what I listen to or what my favorite kind of music is. Either I like the song or I don't. It doesn't matter if it's a rock song, a country song, a hip hop song, you know. So the diversity is definitely there, you know. And I find my taste in music changing. I used to listen to the real hard rock metal stuff, but I guess I'm mellowing out with age because I'm starting to listen to some of that sappier music. Or I was playing some rock ballads trying to educate the younger generation, and she called my rock ballads lullabies, and I was like, oh, okay, never heard it referred to as that, but okay. But yeah, listening to AC/DC growing up, you know, as opposed to listening to Neil Young now or something. I mean, it's all considered rock music, but so different. So things change. Your taste in music changes. The diversity is definitely there.
I was writing down everybody's list because I was noticing how many bands I've actually seen live, and I've seen quite a few of these bands live, luckily. There's some that I wish I had seen. I never got to see Budgie. I love Budgie. The first Budgie song I ever listened to was Parents. And I said, who is that? I didn't know who that was. I was asking, who plays that band? It's a band called Budgie. What's the name of the song? Parents. Like, Parents, really? So I went back and I listened to it again. And that's an awesome song. Budgie's a really, really talented band that didn't get enough notice when they were around. The lead singer, I can't remember his name, but I know he's got some kind of medical condition, which is why they haven't been around.
Shelley Burke is his name.
There you go.
Yeah, that was the very first concert I ever went to. I believe I was 15 years old at the Municipal Auditorium before it caught fire. And then they redid it, reopened it, and then now it's been totally redone as a Tobin Center. But
Tobin, yeah.
78 or 79, I think it was 1979 when it caught fire. So it was just right prior to that. My very first concert was a Budgie concert.
And I have a friend that was raised in Hawaii because her dad was in the military, and she found her way to San Antonio, and she said she'd never heard of Budgie until she got here. You know, and I think they're an Irish band, aren't they? Or Welsh.
They're Welsh.
Correct. Yeah, and she'd never heard of them until she got here. Yeah, so you know, I wish they'd gotten more, you know, big because they're a great band.
Yep. I didn't hear of them until later because Metallica had done like a cover of theirs.
Yeah.
So that's how I found out about them, because when I learned it was a cover, then I went back to see who the band was, and that kind of led me to listening to them.
You're referring to Bread Fan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Metallica. Yeah. Van Halen did a cover of them too. It's you can find them on YouTube. It's a real low quality recording, but I believe trying to remember the song that they covered, but Van Halen knew about Budgie back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
They may have done Bread Fan as well. I don't remember the song now that they covered.
I Ain't No Mountain. That's another great song.
I Ain't No Mountain. Breaking All the House Rules. Parents.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's a good bit. That's a good pick.
Never heard them.
Who put them on the list? Was that you, Mike? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is their Best of Budgie album cover right here.
Yeah, Budgie is actually a bird, and they always put the bird on the cover of their albums.
Yeah. In their Bandolier album, they have them sitting on horses. And I always thought they ripped off Planet of the Apes when they did that.
It does look like that.
Instead of the apes on the horses, they had the Budgie birds.
Yeah.
Whoever designed their artwork, I always thought, I think he kind of borrowed a little bit from that, but I could be wrong. I have no way of substantiating any of that. That's just my suspicion.
That'll be topic for another podcast where we talk about the bands that San Antonio lagged a lot that never got huge, you know.
Recognition.
Yeah, they didn't get the recognition they deserve. Yeah. But that's a good one.
Legs Diamond comes to mind.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Mike, you said you had like an honorable mention.
Oh yeah. That's cheating. So that'll make 6. But I was like, man, how can I leave these guys off? Well, I just put it on the very bottom, honorable mention. And then Susan also mentioned U2. I was like, oh, that's another one I should have put as honorable mention. But the one I was thinking before that was the Who.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Who.
Okay, that's right.
Roger Daltrey is like, probably before the internet, I was reading one of those rock and roll magazines from back in the day, Hit Parader or Circus Magazine. And Roger Daltrey was named as one of the few rock and roll singers that actually knows how to sing. You know, he just, I don't know what their criteria was for who actually knows how to sing, but Roger Daltrey made the list. So, and so the Who would be the honorable mention out of the other 5. And back to what Victor was mentioning about who we've seen live. I've seen all of those bands live except for the Who and Queen. I wish I would have seen Queen.
I have seen Queen live in Houston at the Summit. I still have the tickets though. It's faded, but you can still see Queen. With Freddie Mercury, I got to actually see them.
Wow.
That was awesome. That was a great memory.
Budgie, Tom Petty, I've seen them. Stones, I've seen them. Van Halen many times. Yeah, but Queen is the one on my list. Like, man, I didn't get to it. One cool enough. One cool as Victor. Didn't make it to a Queen concert.
We took a road trip to get there, but we saw them.
That's what you have to do, because when bands get that big, they don't always touch all the cities.
Yeah,
they go to major cities like, you know, Houston and Dallas and sell out stadiums. You know, when they're at that stadium level, they're going to pass up some cities or some smaller towns, some smaller venues. But yeah, Queen was one I wish I would have made the extra effort to try to follow him around, like Jose followed Pantera around on tour and saw him 9 times. Is that how you did it?
Yeah, I went everywhere. Went to,
you just follow the tour bus down the highway?
Went to Austin and Corpus, all over Texas here to see them. Everywhere.
Either that or 9 years in a row every time they came through.
Yeah, I remember Dimebag, the way he died was just, I couldn't believe that happened. I don't know if you want to talk about that, Jose, because that really, I was like shocked when that happened.
Yeah, he was performing with another band after Pantera broke up, and some guy just went in and started shooting up the place. I guess he was, I don't know, mentally unstable or something, and he just shot up the place and managed to shoot him in addition to a few other people, and just killed him, murdered him.
Right in the middle of a show.
Yeah, right in the middle of a show.
Crazy.
Wow.
Crazy.
Belinda, how come you never got into hard rock? I mean, you've been here all your life?
For me, I don't know. I think just musically, my ear just tended to go towards like sounds that were more harmonious or melodic. I don't know how to explain it.
More gentle.
Sounds that were harsher. Yeah, I don't know how else to, how to say. I'm not saying that they're not, that hard rock isn't harmony, doesn't have a melody or doesn't have harmonies, but they're much harsher. They're, how to explain it? Like,
it's okay. It can hurt our feelings if you
I
want.
guess. I don't know. I just not to say that there aren't songs that I don't like. I do. There are some songs that I do like, but as in general, I just that wasn't my scene. I don't know.
But you are from
I
San
get the
Antonio,
negative
right?
connotation to, like, back when I was, in school,
Mhm.
the hard rockers were, the metalheads were like in the
The
bathroom.
dirties and the potheads, right?
Yeah, and I was like,
The
I'm
dirty
not doing that.
The jocks and the heads.
You were with your school books, like holding them tight, like,
Yeah.
gonna talk to those guys, are scary.
Exactly.
In our school, you were either a jock or a head, one of the two.
Yeah.
That's how, like the socials and the greasers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that was kind of
Well,
true
you're
in my school. I think at my school they were called kickers, which was like a mix of, they were kind of countrified metalhead type people, and I was like, nah, yeah.
That wasn't you. But you did grow up in San Antonio, correct?
Who, me?
Yes.
No, I'm born and bred here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
How
I'm born
you
and bred
missed
here,
it.
but
You must have let it really-
I've always felt like I've always felt like an outsider, like the outsiders. I've always been the oddball out. Like, I'm just an original kind of weird person. I don't subscribe to any one thing, and it's like, that's just the way. I don't know why, nobody ever told me that I was supposed to be one way or another. It's just, that's just the way I grew up.
You just didn't follow the crowd. You did your own thing.
Yeah. And maybe that was why. Maybe because, when I was growing up, maybe that's what I saw. And if I saw kids, going, choosing sides, I decided, I'm not going to choose a side. I'm just going to do whatever. That might have been it. I don't know.
Or say beat. Go to your own drum beat.
Yeah. And I used to listen to oldies. I mean, I remember in middle school, like turning on, y'all were probably listening to Kiss. I was listening to, oh God, what was the name of that?
KTSA.
No, actually we did listen to that as a family, but on my own at night, I would listen to,
ATFM?
no, it was like that. This is embarrassing. It was like that elevator music.
Oh, yeah. My mom.
KQ 102.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I would listen to. I'd listen to like super old music.
Soft,
And
easy
so I would
listening.
listen to like the big bands and Sinatra and that kind of stuff. And then, 60s and 50s music. It's like, that's what I
think that's a good point. I think maybe each of us should talk about the environment we grew up in, because that was a big influence on me, my musical taste. When I was still listening to Mickey Mouse Club and stuff, but my brothers, I had one brother that was 10 years older than me, another brother was 5 years older than me. The oldest one, and Mike, you might remember this because this is back in the day. He used to listen to urban radio called KAPE, Cape. And it was all, R&B. That's all it was. He was huge into James Brown, the Pointer Sisters, and all those bands from back then. And I used to hear that all the time. And that's kind of when my first exposure was to the Parliament Funkadelic, which is why, they were the first band I ever went to see. I was really into them. Somebody gave me the album, like I mentioned, and I really dug. I wore it out. I loved the beat and just it was great. And so that was one of my big influences as a kid. My other brother, on the other hand, he listened to bands like Chicago and Bread and bands like that. So, and then I had my mom who like used to listen to Frank Sinatra and all those Barbra Streisand. So I had a lot of different musical tastes surrounding me as I was growing up. So I was influenced by a lot of different things. But real quick about Parliament, it's funny because I was really into them and I saw them live, and George Clinton was great. And I remember Atomic Dog and all those other songs he came up with. And he was always walking around flashy, you know, the crazy colored suits and the beads in his hair, real long in the beard and everything, and the crazy sunglasses. And so he did a farewell tour just a little over a year ago, and he came to the Aztec Theater. It's his farewell tour. I got to go. And it was a very entertaining show. It was kind of half burlesque, half music. But it was so funny because I said, poor George, he's an older man now. He didn't have the hair. He's bald. He's a big, heavy set guy. Whenever he wasn't performing, he would go and sit in a chair next to the drum stand and take a break. He was just sitting on the stage while everybody else was running around, and say, man, time has been, not kind to everyone, and I said, yeah, he's ready to retire. But it was a great show. It was great for traveling down memory lane and everything, just because that was the first show I saw, and I got to see one of his last shows in San Antonio. But it's interesting to see how it's changed. But
was he still wearing his big old platform shoes?
Not anymore. No. He looked more like B.B. King. He was a big heavy set guy wearing he wasn't flashy at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he didn't have the beard. He was kind of bald, and he was just up there singing and doing his thing and get the crowd going. And then the band would start playing in solos and stuff, and background singers would be singing. And then he'd go over and he'd just take a rest.
That reminds me of I saw Meatloaf at the Tobin Center a couple of years ago. Maybe it's been 4 or 5 years ago, but same thing. He sat in like this throne chair and sang a lot of his songs while the rest of the group and the girl dancers around him were doing their thing. But
yeah,
he was sitting down. I mean, he got up and shuffled around on stage, but he sat down quite a bit during the show.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I saw him because I read about a couple months after that, they cut the tour short because I think he collapsed on stage or started having health issues, and they had to cancel the rest of the tour because that was it. So that was probably the last time I'll see Meatloaf live.
Wow.
He was sitting in a like I said, a high back throne kind of king's chair. They had that in the middle of the stage. And it was set a little bit to the back, so he had room to move around. And when he did want to stand up and sing, he retreated to that chair pretty frequently throughout the show. Another dude that I worked,
they're actually human beings too.
Yeah. I worked at KC it was a corporate event. I don't remember who the client was. Somebody that could afford to bring in a national act, or used to be a well-known national act, Casey and the Sunshine Band. Mm-hmm. And he had a whole ensemble band, and they were all probably in their 30s, except for him. And a young guy that was working the show with me, I think he was, working graphics or something. I was on camera. After the show, he comes up to me and goes, "Hey, that band was pretty good, except for that old guy in the middle." I go, "Well, that old guy was KC. The rest of the band, they weren't even born when he was making hits back in the 70s. All of them looked like they were probably 2 years old when he was having #1 hits." But yeah, he bald-headed guy, nothing like what I remember seeing him. If you look at his old videos, it's like heavy-set bald-headed, but still had it. Musically, he still had the energy. He still had the voice. He could still get out there and, like the young guy that was working the show with. They were pretty good, except for the old guy in the middle. Well, that old guy is KC. But yeah, it just goes to show you, rock and roll. The Geritol tour.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Geritol.
I wonder how much longer the Rolling Stones are going to go, because, man, they're getting up there.
I was trying to figure it out. They're like at least, 75-ish?
Yeah.
How old is Mick Jagger these days? Pushing 80, maybe.
Yeah.
They're still doing it.
Susan. Susan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think your cat is purring into the microphone or something.
I was wondering what that was.
Right. I pushed him away.
I thought it was my stomach growling. I was like, I should have ate before this. My stomach's growling.
Y'all don't know, but Susan's got like a whole litter of cats at her house.
Two. I just have two.
You just have two? I thought you had more. Not anymore?
One
Not
passed
counting the
away.
fosters.
Oh.
Not counting the 10 fosters, right?
Yeah.
That's true. I have some outside.
The feral ones that are outside.
The feral ones, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Susan, I like your list too, because I saw the Police. They were great. You too. I haven't. You know, I got a story about that. Me and my girlfriend were going to go see U2, and I couldn't get a car because I didn't have a car, and I wanted to borrow my mom's car, and she wouldn't let me borrow it, so we didn't get to go see U2. Oh, that was terrible. But I did see the Police. That was great. And Rush, I got to see twice, and that was awesome. Neil Peart, awesome drummer. Too bad he passed away.
Yeah. The funny part is I've never seen any of those people.
Yeah, but they're good though.
I've only been to two concerts. One concert was
Which ones?
Paul McCartney and the Wings.
Oh.
Mm.
It was a birthday present since I was on to Beatles. So.
Ooh, wow.
When they came before Linda died, so that was a long time ago.
Oh, wow.
They were one of the first acts to play at the Alamo Dome. I think George Strait opened the Alamo Dome, and then I think it was either the Rolling Stones or Paul McCartney that played shortly after that. And I got to go to that. I don't know if that's the one you went to, but she was there. Linda was there at that time. There were Wings.
Yeah, those Wings. It was called Wings at the time.
And what was the other one? What was the other concert?
Well, it's not a group. I don't know if I can mention it.
Oh, you can mention it. Go ahead.
We don't.
Okay, I've been to a couple then.
Well, you said you had been to only two. I was like, okay. Well.
I know, but I was thinking I went to this. His name is Otmar Liebert. It was.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you know. Actually,
player, right?
met him. He's kind of out there, but.
He does the flamenco guitar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Barefoot and everything.
There you go. He's got like a Persian carpet, and he sits on there, and he's right, he plays the guitar.
So.
Nice.
Those are the ones.
U2 is amazing in concert. They probably should have made the list more than. I'm glad somebody put them on the list because they really are a good live band.
There's a documentary called "It Might Get Loud" that I recommend. It actually won the Academy Award for Best Documentary the year it came out. And basically, it's Jimmy Page, Jack White, and The Edge sitting in a little warehouse. They set up a little stage, and they're just sitting around talking about music. And they're trading licks. And it's so awesome because it talks a little bit about each band's history. And Edge talks about how he learned all those different effects that he does, how some of the tricks that he uses on stage. And it is a great, especially if you like those bands or if you just like guitar, it's a great documentary. I strongly recommend that. It's It Might Get Loud. Really good.
Okay.
Is that on Netflix or?
I might be. I saw it a long time ago when it was still in the theaters. So it might
Look
be.
for that. It might get loud. Okay.
It might get loud. It's really good. Jimmy Page talks about how they get all these. They recorded one of their albums in a house because they like the acoustics, and so they're just talking about all kinds of different things like that, and it's really cool.
And it's just all three of them, right? That's it. The whole.
It's just they're just having fun playing guitar together. They're just trading licks, like I said, and Yeah, it's they jam. It's great. It's a great documentary.
Yeah, when they record in a house, it's almost like they're recording live. Like, you know, you see so many bands are overproduced in the studio, and nothing more disappointing than to go to a live group and they just sound awful.
Yeah.
They don't sound anything like the record. I saw a band, and I'm not going to mention their name. I don't want to throw them under the bus. But I left disappointed. I saw them. Say again?
Said do it.
I thought we were going to stay positive. They played the Aztec recently, and I walked out disappointed because they didn't play. It seemed like they didn't play a whole song. They went through the motions. They sang some of the chorus, and the guy started rambling on and doing this and doing that. And you know, I don't know if they had a guest guitar player, like he didn't know all his parts. It seemed like just little stuff like that. Real disappointing. Then you get bands like U2. They sound like the album.
Yeah.
Note for note, lyrics, all the notes, all the lyrics, everything's just like you're listening to them live. It's great. One band in particular that comes to mind that I saw at Sunken Gardens recently, a couple of years ago, was Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh yeah.
Those guys live are phenomenal. They sound exactly like the album or CD or whatever you're gonna.
They cranked it up big time too.
Yeah, they are so good live.
Yeah.
As opposed to that unnamed band that played the Aztec recently.
See, we'll do that. We'll have another show where we talk about the worst concerts we've been to. I've got one real easy. I got one.
Yeah. And it happens, you know. When everything goes smooth and everything's great, everybody's happy. Boy, what? But every now and then, there's a train wreck.
Yeah.
You know,
everybody's entitled to a bad night, I guess.
Yeah, and being working, the back line or stagehand, there's a saying like, I don't mind watching a train wreck as long as I didn't cause a train wreck. As long as it wasn't anything I did, But things happen. Live shows, things happen, So, yeah, I've been to some great shows, but there's been some that, whether it's the band or the setup or what have you, venues, things happen. But
Belinda, I want to know about Los Panchos. The only panchos I know of are the nachos they sell at Alamo Cafe. Please tell me about that band.
Los Panchos it's a trio from Mexico. They have they're really old, just Spanish Mexican music.
A trio, right?
They just traditional music. I don't know if you know some of the songs. Quizás. What else? Let me see. Bésame mucho. What else? Solamente una vez. It's just when I was growing up, my mom, who's originally from Mexico, we had gotten this big, beautiful record player, back when we still had record players, but it was this big console. It wasn't a piece of furniture.
You mean a turntable?
No, it wasn't a turntable. It was a big old record player. With the radio.
And they had a little section on the end for the bar, for the wine glasses and the.
Everything. Well, it didn't have the wine glasses, but it had the whole table on top, and it had huge speakers and a radio. It was stereo, FM, everything. Mm-hmm. It had an input for what do you call them, earphones, and it just had the sweetest sound to it. And she would play the radio on the Spanish stations, and we didn't have a lot of LPs back then, but she bought a few, and they were Spanish music. And I just remember like her having some music for us to listen to, and most of it was Spanish. We had a few, you know, English language LPs, but the other one that one of the ties that I had was Los Panchos and Sonora Santanera, which was another band, you know, one of those albums. And I just remember listening to the music, and like a lot of the sounds that sometimes I kind of like play back in my mind just happen to be those types of sounds. They just make me feel good when I hear them. So that's why I put them on there.
Are they on YouTube?
Yeah, you can find them on YouTube. Yeah.
Have to research that.
Yeah, Los Panchos and Sonora Santanera. Yeah, all really traditional sounding. Different styles. One's a trio and one's well, they call it sonora. There's a lot of sonoras.
Kind of like a big band, right? They have like trumpets and everything. My dad's from Mexico too, so he exposed me to them too, and it's like a big band sort of sound, but
big band style,
Latin kind of mixed together. Pretty good.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a big band dance type music. But those are really good. So that was one of my ties, and that's the reason why I put them on there. It's just, you know, songs that I grew up with. Other than music that I remember her singing around the house, you know, mariachi stuff and stuff that I would hear when we would visit in Mexico and that kind of thing. But
I never heard of them before. Were they like the Budgie of Spanish music, or are they well known?
Yes. And
no,
Budgie.
The Budgie, they were very, very famous. They're very well known down there.
I never heard of them. This is what I mean. My dad's from Mexico too, and of course you hear all the big ones: Rocio de Cal, Vicente Fernandez. I worked on his shows too. That man can put away some whiskey live on stage without missing a beat. But my dad actually was a songwriter for, I don't know, maybe you guys remember Sonny and the Sunliners, Sunglow Records, San Antonio based.
Sonny Ozuna.
Sonny Ozuna, yeah. There was another local record label called Teardrop Records. Henry Zimmerly and the Latin Breed and all of those guys. My dad wrote songs for several of those groups. The only thing is he didn't always register DMI, ASCAP, all of his stuff, so he didn't always get the credit or the royalties. More important, the money that he deserved for writing those songs. But on I think it was Henry Zimmerly's album, on the back of one of his albums, they have a small portrait of my dad, because he pretty much wrote every song on that album, on one of those albums. So they acknowledged him, my father, on that. But what they'll do now, my mom told me one time, I believe it was, I don't know if I shouldn't mention it, it was a well-known group, Tejano group, had a well-known hit, and my mom points to the radio and said, "That's your father's song. He wrote that for me when we were dating." But if you go and look at their album, they list their writing credits as writer unknown. So my father never got any credit or money or royalties. But it was a song from the '60s that was probably recorded by one of the groups from Sunglow Records or Teardrop Records. It fell into that group. It probably made around the studio. And this well-known Tejano group, which I won't mention, they got their hands on it and recorded it 20-something years later, and it became one of their biggest hits.
Wow.
If you believe my mom, she goes, "That's your father's song. He wrote that song." So, anyway.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my exposure to Spanish or Tejano music. my father's side of things, but it was never anything that I really listened to. Did take a road trip with my dad to Mexico City once, and he played Rocio Turcal the whole way. So that grew on me. I listen to her now, but it took 12 hours on the road to get me there.
You were brainwashed.
She's Spanish. She's actually from Spain, but she's very well known in Mexico.
Right.
But Los Panchos and Sonora Santanera are Mexican. So, yeah, so that's where I get that.
That's pretty cool.
I really thought one of you guys was going to say like the Grateful Dead or something, and y'all had followed them around, or I don't know why. I thought, for some reason, I thought one of y'all were going to say that. I don't know why.
You know, bands like the Dead and other groups, like say, he's not a group, but like David Bowie and they weren't my thing. Like I mentioned before, I listened to AC/DC and Scorpions and Judas Priest and Ted Nugent growing up. So they weren't really my type of music that I listened to. It wasn't until years later that I really appreciated their music. You know, guys like David Bowie, you know, he really had some good stuff that I just dismissed when I was younger because that wasn't my thing. But as you get older, you start listening to some of this stuff and say, oh, so yeah, Grateful Dead is one of those groups that like, okay, I started listening to them more later, but no, I never got to tour with them or follow them around, you know, in a VW van or nothing like that. I wouldn't mind though. I like fun. Do the whole music festival circuit, just follow around your favorite group. How does what does the Janis Joplin say? The freedom of it all. It's another word for nothing to lose or something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember
how it goes.
Actual line. Yeah.
Who? Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You know who Janis Joplin is. Come on.
I know, but I don't know how her music.
Texas girl from Port Arthur.
Yeah, I just found out she's from Texas, so I know that.
Now, I do want to make an observation. I noticed that there seems to be an absence of country music for us Texas folks. Why is that?
Like I said, five was not enough for me to like put all my stuff on there. I really like. Had
we been doing just single performers as opposed to a band, I would have put Johnny Cash on my list without a
yes,
doubt.
sir. Yep.
I don't think there's like a lot of
that for another time.
country groups.
Yeah.
There's mostly country singers, but not like a lot of country groups. Like
that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
I like the old original K-Buck country.
I remember that.
Radio station. The old school country, not the pop rock bubblegum country that's out today. I'm sorry. That's not country. Growing up, that type of music was maybe referred to as Southern rock.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys are putting rock guitars in their country music and calling it country, but that's not country. To me, that's Southern rock or whatever.
Yeah, I'm into old school stuff. Johnny Cash, Hank Williams Sr., stuff like that. Merle Haggard, guys, Willie Nelson. I like
Charlie
those guys.
Pride,
George Jones.
Yes.
George Jones. That was real country. The guys that came out on Grand Ole Opry and Heat Hall.
Yeah.
That was country to me.
And a lot of those guitar players knows those bands are very underrated because they don't do solos like the metal guys do, not that much. But a lot of those guys are really good musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think Roy Clark is one, and Glenn Campbell are known as being really, really good. Somebody told me that Eddie Van Halen learned a lot of stuff from Glenn Campbell. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I heard.
And Jerry Reed too. I don't know if you guys ever
Yeah.
seen him. He's the guy that came on a Smoking the Bandit. He was a truck driver, and man, he can play the guitar. He can shred.
Yeah.
It's good.
So he could have hung out with Pantera.
I'm sure, man. He could have hung in there.
There you go. So you wrote down everybody's list, Victor?
I sure did. I got everybody's list, and it will be posted.
Let's talk about some duplicates. Any more
And,
duplicates on the list?
I think
Well, I don't know. Do we have time? It is. We are
Are we out of time?
1 hour. We are at the 1 hour mark.
Okay.
I think AC/DC is the only one that appeared on two different people's. I think mine and
ABBA.
with AC/DC and ABBA. Yeah.
And ABBA.
Okay. Name an ABBA song. Fernando.
Take a chance on me. SOS.
Dancing Queen.
Dancing
Oh,
Queen.
Victor, come on, Victor.
I was gonna say Dancing Queen too.
Money, money.
Money, money,
Yeah.
money.
Oh, you're thinking of more than I can
Mamma
think
Mia.
of. I can only think of two: Dancing Queen and Fernando.
Mamma Mia.
Yeah,
Mamma Mia. There you go.
Mamma Mia. There you go. Drawing a blank, Victor. Susan.
Well, y'all are saying all the ones.
I only know the hits. I don't know how the other ones say.
They're all hits. What are you talking
They're
about?
all hits. Yeah.
Oh, now they're all hits. Okay. Mhm. Hear that,
Now, there
Victor?
was another group that came later in the 80s or 90s that I thought they emulated or copied or ripped off or whatever, however you want to call it, ABBA. Do you remember the name of that group?
In the 80s?
They were called Ace of Base.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I do
To me,
remember
they
that.
were-
but
they
you
were
really
an
think
They were an ABBA like clone band, and
Really?
even the name, A of B, I thought that was deliberate. So
I think they were Swedish too, right? They were from Sweden.
I
No?
believe so. They were, to me, they were just like a spin-off. Well, not a spin-off, but a clone, so to speak, of ABBA. They definitely stole their blueprint or borrowed. Nicer term, borrowed their blueprint.
Harvard.
Yeah. So, okay.
All right. Well, anybody have last words before we wrap it up?
I have a confession.
What's your confession? Oh, we lost Mike. Oh, no, we lost Victor.
You already
no.
left.
What's your confession, Susan?
I didn't know who Selena was until she died.
Really?
I'm not a big Tejano person either. And everyone makes fun of me because of that.
The only reason I really knew who she was before she died was because I actually dated a girl that loved Selena. That's all she wanted to talk about or listen to. So
Uh-huh.
that if it wasn't for dating that one particular girl, I probably wouldn't have known who she was either. But
I thought you were gonna say you worked a concert or something.
never did a Selena show.
Back.
Hey.
Oh, we thought
Disappeared.
I was thinking. Victor was thinking. I only signed up for an hour. Bye. Clear.
Right.
I gotta punch my card. I gotta go.
Like it's Susan's turn, and then Victor's like, "All right, bye."
Oh,
I know, right?
yeah, I like cats too.
You see how we grew up. I grew up as a Catholic schoolgirl, quiet and everything.
Those are the
And
dangerous
so I-
ones.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm telling you. She's vicious.
Well, that's
And
what I was thinking.
Then I
Right,
started
ones you gotta
Tool,
look out for.
Tool, Disturbed, was the other one, Stain, and everybody got worried about me.
You're smoking in the girls' room. You know,
Yeah.
the bad girl.
Well, when Belinda was saying she didn't listen to Joe Anthony, I was like, how can you not? I mean, it's almost like you didn't have a choice because it was all around you, everywhere. So it's like either Belinda, you led a really sheltered life, or the radio dial was broken and you couldn't change the station. One or the other. We just stuck
No, I
on
guess like I said, I guess it was a subconscious choice that I made, or it's like
Yeah.
I just didn't realize it until now.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Okay.
opening up the world to me.
Right.
So let's see, our next meeting, our next show will be on our most missed beloved TV shows. So get ready for that.
Hmm.
And then
Or are we picking a certain amount, like the top 5, or I mean, 5?
we can do maybe 3 and discuss a little bit more about the shows.
Okay.
Why we missed them. Yeah.
Ready.
Sounds good.
All righty. Well,
Yeah.
again, good seeing you guys. And
Be with you guys.
yeah, have a good weekend. Be safe. Wear your masks.
Hands. Don't touch your face. Don't touch your face. Wash your hands.
As long as I don't touch anybody else's face.
All righty. Take
All
care.
right, y'all.
Be safe.
Bye.
Gavel time.
Bye.
Gavel time. No gavel.
Take care. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Adios.